Alright everyone, with Kirsten Gillibrand's comments regarding the Clintons, it certainly looks like she's gearing up for a possible 2020 run. I happen to think that that's likely. And she would probably do fairly well. Like, if you put her up against a Biden, she would win. She might end up having the backing of the neolibs, actually. Now, hear me out. I think there's something afoot. The way that she's talking and maneuvering looks a lot like the way Hillary Clinton talked and maneuvered before she tried to run for the presidency the first time. Which means that indicates to me that Gillibrand has maybe the blessing of the neoliberals and she's just pretending not to. It's like they're taking the old glass ceiling crook, which is Hillary Clinton. They're like, well, she can't win, so we're tossing her aside. She's making a fool of herself. We'll just use her to make Kirsten look good because she's also female. She'll be the next, you know, coronated candidate, and we'll have all that DNC funding behind her and stuff. And she plays nice with, like, the Sandersites, so it just, you know, from a strategic standpoint, it just works out. So we're going to let her beat up on Hillary. And she also came out and refused to defend Al Franken. Now, again, despite the fact that I may concur that it is likely that Bubba Bill was a serial molester in his time as governor, we're talking before the White House. Like, she's fixated on, well, he should have resigned over the Monica Lewinsky scandal because he perjured himself. Well, he never should have been elected in the first place. He should have been in a fucking cell because he was allegedly raping people. If you're not going to defend Al Franken, then you shouldn't be defending Bubba Bill for those claims that were made before he was ever in office at all. He wasn't even in office. He was already doing the Slick Willy sort of thing in more ways than one. And it wasn't always a consensual sort of thing. That is the allegation. If you're not going to defend Al Franken over the same fucking allegations, why wouldn't you fixate on that? Like, Monica Lewinsky, he was consensual. Yeah, he had an affair. So fucking what? There are a million other things that the Clintons have done that are far worse than the Monica Lewinsky scandal. Monica Lewinsky, that's like the bottom of the heap. It was the low-hanging fruit because it was so obvious that it was true. It was so obvious what happened, and of course there was an admission of what happened thereafter. And Hillary Clinton, I imagine when she found out, her anger wasn't because Bill had screwed someone on the side, because, you know, she knows that he does that. Both consensually and non-consensually, again, allegedly speaking. She was mad that he got caught. That's the only problem with her. She was mad because they're like a crime couple. I don't think that they even really routinely sleep together or do, you know, they probably haven't had sex in a long time. They have their own things going on. More power to them if that's what floats their boat. As long as it's consensual. Him screwing Monica, it's like, it's not endangering the country. It's, I mean, it may be immoral by, like, maybe, like, Jesusite standards, but, you know, a lot of Americans didn't even fucking care at the time. They're like, well, the economy's going good. Who cares? It's the non-consensual stuff beforehand, allegedly. That's the problem. Again, with Franken. It's not, hey, you know, Franken did something perverted. No, it wasn't consensual at the time that it was perverted. It's just like when Clinton raised the specter of sexual allegations against Trump. What planet is she living on? Has she forgotten the 1990s? Is she starting to show dementia like Bubba Bill appears to be showing? Is her dementia now starting that she can't even remember all the allegations against her husband, that she had to character assassinate people over? Oh, well, this woman's just a liar. You know, we should believe the victim except if the victim is of my husband. That's basically the problem. No, she's not going to weigh in on Al Franken. She's not going to come out and say jack shit about that. Kirsten Gillibrand is basically a younger, more, you know, sort of social media friendly version of Hillary Clinton that appears more chic. She's more elegant when it comes to the tech realm, more able to conduct herself politically in an online situation as opposed to the shill for hill stuff, like the stuff we saw, the Pokemon go to the polls. It's just a microcosm of the whole fucking campaign that she ran. She never could have won. Now, the internet elects people now, not cable TV. Which is exactly why the cable firms want to edge in on the internet and try to edge out their competition in unfair ways by throwing their money around. It's going to be funny to see what happens over the next maybe a few years as we approach the next election. See if these tech firms go more heavy-handed, if they've gobbled up enough of that corporate cash. Well, again, we'll see what happens with some of these sites, and then the rise of all tech as well. Kirsten Gillibrand is cannibalizing the Clintons. And Al Franken's a neoliberal too. He's one of the top Democrats. He's one of the 5 or 6 most powerful Democrats. Again, this is a reason the Democrats should be concerned. They don't have a lot of heavy hitters. Hillary Clinton's still the main symbol of her party. Gillibrand would not go after Hillary Clinton if she didn't think, well, the party's basically going to fucking abandon her. She's made too much of an embarrassment of herself. She's burned too many bridges. Therefore, it's, you know, in the past, if you attacked Hillary Clinton as a Democrat, you were out of a job. Now it's more like, well, you know, she's basically, it's like watching an old sick animal as the crows start circling. That's what Hillary Clinton is beginning to resemble. She's the sick man of the DNC, so to speak. She's literally, she's just limping along. And so all of these opportunists will pick away at her. Bernie Sanders gets a little bit of a chuckling comeuppance because his political career, despite the fact that he's older and zonked out, and fiscally he's insane, has outlasted hers easily. He has now risen to heights that she can only dream of. He's the most popular Democrat without even being within the Democratic Party. It's quite an accomplishment. Kirsten Gillibrand's right up there. She's trying to leverage Hillary Clinton's unpopularity as a way to boost herself up. It's very dishonest. And she's not doing this because she's actually on the left. This is what I predicted would happen. That somebody, some gap, an Elizabeth Warren, a Kirsten Gillibrand, somebody like that, somebody who is in between the Sanders movement, who's friendly with them or at least tolerates them, isn't sparring with Sanders and socialism and, you know, the left, but is technically still a neoliberal, someone like a Gillibrand, will be the one that rises up next to prominence within the party. They're seeking a leader. The Democratic Party is seeking someone to lead them. They need somebody like Kirsten Gillibrand. They need someone who's younger, who looks decent for the cameras, who is capable of making a tweet without embarrassing themselves, and who gets some of the pop culture references. That's what they need as a party. Now, they still need a platform. How exactly, when you have somebody like Sanders who has laid such a hard-line left platform, and you have the Clintonian neoliberals who cannot tolerate more than the most bare-bones aspects of that, how do you walk that tightrope? That's what they need to figure their way through next. I would also warn any business Democrats, the fundamental platform of a Gillibrand presidency would be similar to a Clinton platform. So just because she says, well, yeah, we're going to throw you some bones, no, she won't. There won't even be a reform movement. It'll be, hey, we're going to go back to how it was under the Obama presidency movement. So if you didn't like that at the time, if it wasn't fiscally working for you, I don't think you would appreciate what Gillibrand would do. And she'd be likely, at this point, to have a Republican-run Senate anyway if she won, which wouldn't work, because then we'd have 4 more years of absolutely nothing. It would be a problem if Gillibrand were the Dem nominee in 2020. And of course, it's possible. I mean, she might not run still. She might wait another few years. It's likely, though, I think she'll run. Biden is less likely, but it's possible. I think that ship has sailed quite some time ago. The Obama-style politicking, that's kind of outdated now, too. I hope people, the millennials, need to understand we're being left behind when it comes to some of these things. Like, you know, we're no longer the youngest generation. You are aware of this, right? Well, the politics aren't the youngest generation of politics either. No, now it's like Sanders socialism, which some millennials embrace. Sadly, they don't understand the difference between a socialized program and socialism as an overall ideology. But okay, you know, you never studied these things, I guess. It's a problem. Gillibrand yeah, she'd be a fresh new face. She's sort of like a Kennedy-style character. If she had the right platform. She's decently spoken. I wouldn't vote for her. But yeah, she could do a good job. She'd do better than Hillary Clinton neoliberal. She'd do better than a Joe Biden, you know, someone who's on their last leg in many respects, politically speaking. What's Joe Biden known for? Oh, I make verbal mistakes as often as George W. By the way, the Bushes get along with me now because, you know, they're never Trumpers too. That's going to look real great. Gillibrand, as far as I know, never praised the Bushes. That's probably another problem. A lot of these Democrats, they seized on the never Trumper stuff to go buddy-buddy with a bunch of what essentially equate to Evangelo-con Republicans and very visible neocons, but, you know, the left considers them hardline right-wingers. They buddy-buddied with them. Now they're stuck with that. They've tarnished themselves. They've corrupted themselves by doing so in the eyes of many people on the left. They have to get a candidate who never buddy-buddied with the Bushes either. Otherwise, they're going to lose the youth again. And that's the magic bullet for the Democrats, really losing the next election in 2020. At this point, though, I still maintain that Trump would have an advantage going into 2020. It's only a year into his presidency. He's not doing so terribly that he's completely fallen out of favor. Core fan base remains loyal and hardened for the most part. Some centrist support, some business Democrat support. Things looking better in, I think, the midterms now that you've got so many abuse allegations against so many Democrats. Now, if the Clintons get thrown to the wolves, and you have this schism, if it continues, but doesn't culminate in anything substantial, so that you get this rift between people who are more on the left and more just neoliberal, or at least pretend to be on the left versus neoliberal. Now, that'll weaken the party in the midterms. Now, it sets the stage for a better 2020, but it could also spell disaster. You know, they could end up getting completely, getting their asses handed to them as the GOP runs roughshod over everything they want to do. That's a calculation that we've got to make as well. We'll have to wait and see, though. Until after the midterms, we can't predict anything for 2020. We've also got to kind of know, at the very least, we got to know roughly who is likely to run. You could have a spoiler candidate. Bernie Sanders could decide, hey, you know, I changed my mind. I've decided to run again. Well, you know, that negates Gillibrand or anybody in the center left, so-called, from winning. It robs them of all of their support. Essentially, you've got a situation where it pays to be an extremist within a party. So when Trump comes out, and he doesn't have an extremist platform or ideology, so he has to look extremist. He goes out and insults people and does the WWE thing. Bernie Sanders, very grassroots and not corporate candidate, comes out and says, yeah, socialism's great, something that would have been taboo even 10 years ago, or even 5 probably. Of course, Obama was always like, no, I'm not a socialist. No, don't worry, people. No, I would never have socialism. Little socialized program here and there, that's okay. Not a socialist. Don't worry, I'm just a liberal, just a regular Democrat. I'm in the center. These people are far right. That's the way the Democrats used to act when you tried to call them a socialist. Now Bernie Sanders is like, yeah, I'm a socialist. He gets a third of the party to vote for him, without even being a Democrat. That's a strong candidacy, considering the enormous amount of money he was up against in a primary that was rigged. It was rigged against him. That's beyond argument at this point. It is objectively true. Look at Fusion GPS. The Hillary Clinton campaign, in collusion with the DNC, rigged the primaries to coronate Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders never had a snowball's chance in hell. It was impossible for him or anybody else to possibly win. She had been chosen before the primaries even began. The Democratic Party is going to have to own that too, because anybody who doesn't get the result that they want, here's the other secret. Any person who supports a candidate who doesn't win, they say, oh, it was rigged, and they won't get on board with whoever the likely establishment candidate is. Unless it's the outsider candidate, which is why it probably will be if they have any sense of strategic thinking, but they got to find the right outsider. They can't use, I don't even think a Gillibrand would work. Not far out there enough. Unless she wants to shift her views substantially in the upcoming years and be like, hey, I'm the younger female version of Sanders. Now, I've also got ovaries that might even still work, unlike Hillary Clinton's, so you should vote for me. That's about all. Peace out.